2 days before the biggest World Cup in football history kicks off, FIFA has a problem. Not on the pitch, not in the stadiums, not with the players, with the people the tournament is supposed to be built for, the fans. Because while FIFA executives prepare for opening ceremonies, fireworks, and television audiences in the billions, something very different is happening behind the scenes. Hotel bookings are reportedly below projections in multiple host cities. Fan festivals have faced disruptions. Attendance questions refuse to disappear. And now, one shocking incident has become the symbol of everything critics have been warning about for months. His name is Omar Abdulkadir Artan. Most football fans had never heard of him, but inside refereeing circles, he's one of the best in the world. FIFA selected him after years of evaluations, international tournaments, domestic competitions, performance reviews, pressure tests, everything. He passed them all. In 2025, he was voted Africa's best referee. He officiated major continental finals. He earned his place at the World Cup. Then he landed in Miami, and everything changed. According to reports, Artan underwent additional inspection by U.S. border authorities and was ultimately denied entry. Just like that, 3 years of preparation, gone. One of FIFA's selected World Cup referees would not be working the tournament. And here's where the story becomes explosive. FIFA's response wasn't outrage. It wasn't a public fight. It wasn't even a defense of one of its own officials. The organization simply stated that immigration decisions belong to the host country, and FIFA is not involved in those processes. Read that again. One of FIFA's own World Cup referees denied entry, and FIFA essentially said, the host country decides. For many fans, that moment changed everything. Because if a FIFA-appointed referee can be stopped at the border, what does that mean for ordinary supporters? Fans from Africa, fans from Asia, fans from countries already dealing with visa complications, fans who have been saving for years to attend a World Cup. Suddenly, the question wasn't, can I afford to go? The question became, can I even get in? And that's exactly why attendance concerns refuse to disappear. Because football fans aren't only evaluating ticket prices anymore, they're evaluating risk. Risk of delays, risk of visa problems, risk of spending thousands of dollars on a trip that may never happen. And that's creating a conversation FIFA desperately wanted to avoid before opening day. A conversation about whether this World Cup truly belongs to the world, or whether it belongs to the governments and institutions controlling access to it. But if you think the referee controversy is the only crisis FIFA is facing right now, wait until you hear what's happening in Mexico City. Because the location meant to host one of the tournament's biggest fan celebrations has become the center of a completely different battle. Because while FIFA is dealing with questions about access and attendance, Mexico City is dealing with something much more visible, a protest. And it's happening right next to one of the World Cup's most important fan locations, the famous Zócalo, the historic heart of Mexico City, the place FIFA hoped would become one of the defining images of World Cup 2026. Thousands of fans, massive screens, global celebrations, a football festival unlike anything the city had ever seen. Instead, the area has been partially occupied by striking teachers demanding salary and pension reforms from the Mexican government. Now let's be clear, this isn't an anti-football protest. The teachers aren't protesting the World Cup itself. Their dispute is political. Their demands are domestic. But timing matters, and this timing could not be worse, because the protest is taking place just days before the opening ceremony, exactly when FIFA and local organizers need everything running perfectly. Reports indicate that volunteer training sessions linked to the World Cup were already affected. Preparations faced disruptions, and suddenly, the global spotlight FIFA wanted for celebration is sharing space with a completely different story. That's the danger of hosting the world's biggest sporting event. The spotlight doesn't only show what organizers want people to see, it shows everything, every problem, every disagreement, every controversy. And when millions of viewers tune in, those issues become impossible to hide. But Mexico isn't the only country receiving bad news. Several national teams are now arriving at the tournament carrying serious injury concerns. Let's start with the Netherlands. For years, Dutch fans have dreamed about ending one of football's longest droughts. A nation with incredible talent, a rich football history, and a nation still searching for its first World Cup trophy. Now, that mission just got harder. Jurriën Timber has been officially ruled out due to a persistent groin injury, and he isn't the first major loss. The Dutch have already seen key players miss significant time leading into the tournament. Suddenly, a squad that looked deep and balanced is facing heavy questions about depth, questions no contender wants to answer before a single ball is kicked. Then there's Canada, one of the host nations, one of the feel-good stories of modern football, and another team dealing with fitness concerns at exactly the wrong time. Star center back Moise Bombito has been ruled out as his surgically repaired leg isn't ready to compete, while captain Alphonso Davies continues working his way back from a major hamstring strain, leaving him highly likely to miss the opening match. Now, imagine being a Canadian supporter. You've waited your entire life for this moment. Your country is hosting the World Cup, the stadiums are ready, the atmosphere is building, and suddenly, injuries start arriving. It's every fan's nightmare. But the biggest surprise may not be happening on the pitch at all. It's happening inside the stadiums. Because another issue has quietly been growing behind the scenes, and it involves thousands of stadium concession and service workers responsible for making the World Cup function. The people serving food, the people serving drinks, the people helping operate some of the tournament's biggest venues. And as of right now, that situation remains unresolved, which means FIFA is entering opening week with pressure coming from every direction. From referees, from fans, from workers, from protesters, from injured squads. And we're still not done, because the most uncomfortable numbers for FIFA are still coming. And those numbers tell a story FIFA executives probably wish would disappear. And this is where the story becomes uncomfortable for FIFA. Because controversies come and go. Injuries happen every tournament. Protests happen. Political disputes happen. But numbers? Numbers are harder to ignore. For months, questions have surrounded fan demand for World Cup 2026. Not demand for football, demand for the experience itself. Because for many supporters, attending this tournament has never felt simple. Flights, hotels, transportation, match tickets, travel between host cities. The costs add up quickly, very quickly. And according to reports discussed throughout the build-up, concerns have continued surrounding hotel occupancy projections, travel demand, and overall fan participation across several host regions. Now, let's be fair. This does not mean stadiums will be empty. Far from it. The World Cup is still the World Cup. Millions will watch. Hundreds of thousands will travel. The atmosphere inside many venues will almost certainly be incredible. But that's not the question people are asking. The question is, why does it feel harder than ever to attend football's biggest event? And that's where everything circles back to the Omar Artan story. Because his situation represents something much larger than one referee. It's become a symbol of uncertainty, a symbol of access, a symbol of the gap between FIFA's marketing and the realities supporters face. For years, FIFA has promoted a simple message. Football unites the world. Football belongs to everyone. Football brings people together. Powerful words. Words fans want to believe. But critics argue that principles only matter when they're tested. And in the build-up to World Cup 2026, those principles have been tested repeatedly. By visa questions, by travel concerns, by affordability debates, by attendance concerns, and now by a FIFA-selected referee being denied entry before the tournament even begins. The irony is that none of this changes what happens on the pitch. The football is still extraordinary. Lionel Messi is here. Kylian Mbappe is here. Jude Bellingham is here. Lamine Yamal is here. Vinicius Jr. is here. The biggest stars in world football are ready. The stadiums are ready. The opening ceremony is ready. The tournament itself will almost certainly deliver unforgettable moments. That's what makes this story so fascinating. Because two realities can exist at the same time. The football can be brilliant, and the tournament can still face serious criticism. The goals, the drama, the upsets, the magic, those things will happen. But long after the trophy is lifted, people may remember something else too. The questions. Questions about access. Questions about inclusion. Questions about whether the modern World Cup is becoming too expensive, too complicated, and too difficult for ordinary football fans. And that's the debate FIFA cannot escape. Not this week, not next month, not even after the final. Because every issue we've discussed today points toward the same question. Who is the World Cup really for? The sponsors? The broadcasters? The governments? Or the supporters who made football the world's game in the first place? And that's why the next 6 weeks matter so much, not just for the players chasing history, but for FIFA itself. Because World Cup 2026 isn't only a tournament, it's a test of whether football's biggest competition can still live up to its biggest promises. So let me ask you this. Does the Omar Artan situation change the way you view this World Cup? And more importantly, do you believe FIFA still puts football first, or has the game become secondary to everything surrounding it? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe, because from opening day to the final, we'll be covering every major story, controversy, shock result, and behind-the-scenes development of World Cup 2026. And click the video on your screen right now to discover why FIFA's latest World Cup rule change has players around the world completely furious.